welcome to another weekend of Fragments of Silicon reviews. Now, we usually do these on Sunday nights. For those who don't show up for the recordings. Anyway, this week we are tackling Hive Jump and Hellenica/Hellenica Tactics. I've seen both for Hellenica, but that's coming up after this. Hive Jump. So, if you didn't see our playthrough of it a couple of days ago, yeah, this is a multiplayer run and gun in the style of, say, Contra or Metal Slug. And it's the second such game that we've played in 2017. Now, Hive Jump, it goes for retro aesthetic as well, but that's more in its graphical stylings. Its storyline is, well, first of all, played completely straight. Like, there's no meta humor, there's no tongue-in-cheek quips, there's no references to the classics of old. It's pretty straightforward, actually. Right. So, the setting of Hive Jump is aliens have invaded, go kill them.
I thought we were on their world, but yeah.
No, in the campaign setting, it goes from your world to their world, but it starts out on your world.
Right. Anyway, so there's a I hesitate to use the word deeper, but there is a much more involved storyline with cutscenes in the campaign mode. You can ignore them. Like, you're not going to be playing this game for its story.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that exists to provide a modicum of motivation for the setting and, why you're killing bug-like aliens.
Yeah. I mean, it's an excuse plot, basically.
Yes, it is. Like, so aside from that, let's see. Yeah, this is a multiplayer-focused run and gun.
Which is kind of one of the issues with it, because the way that it's multiplayer is not the best with the way it's running.
We'll get into that in a bit. Though if you saw our playthrough, you'll know why. Because this is the first run and gun I can think of that's so heavily multiplayer focused. I mean, usually you have a 2-player mode, but the games are designed around having 1 or 2 players. Hive Jump really seems to be developed around 4 players at once.
Or at least a couple. It's really easy to get overwhelmed if you only have 1.
And this doesn't seem like a game where the amount of enemies scale to the people in the room.
No, it really doesn't. Like, even on the easier difficulties, which we played on, you can get through it, but you'll be overwhelmed. So, and that kind of flows into the big controversy of the game is it's 4 players, both local and co-op, on the PC. The forthcoming Wii U version is only going to have 4 players local. And, we touched upon this, on Friday, and I think in the interview as well. But, there are technical reasons for this happening, but no matter what the reasoning, having a mode that one version has and the other doesn't is always going to piss people off. There's no way around it. I'd say on that basis alone, I'd recommend the PC version, but hold on there, because this is a 2D action game. And 2D action games actually typically don't have online multiplayer. And Hive Jump is a pretty good example of why that is. Because you really need to have your ping rate set close and all that.
Yeah, input lag is really bad.
Yeah. This doesn't have the best netcode in the world. It doesn't really compensate for lag well.
Yeah, and we tried a whole bunch of configurations on our end, and some people were better than others with the streaming, but it was still pretty laggy.
Yeah, it was at least playable.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that this is a retro-styled 2D action game. It's not going to really tax your system all that much. Or at least it shouldn't. Like the game ran flawlessly in like single player mode when I
it's just streamed some single player mode and it worked perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's just when we got to the multiplayer mode, that's when things got laggy, and I'm like almost impossible to play. Like, and well, the big problem we ran into were syncing issues.
Yeah.
Now,
there's no dedicated command like there could be for this kind of game to forcibly sync.
Yeah.
You basically have to hope that the game realizes, oh, they're desynced, and then tries to do it itself.
Yeah, and spoilers, it usually doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, Gauntlet's was the first to get desynced.
I guess it should be something to note real quick that the online multiplayer is currently in beta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game itself has been released. The core game spent several months in early access, and only got into a release state, quote unquote, a few weeks ago. Now, like, it's considered to be the full experience, I guess. It kind of differs from EA game to early access game. Anyway, as far as the game itself, it's pretty good.
I had fun with it once I was, not trying to connect with you guys and dealing with lag and syncing.
In terms of mechanics, they're not breaking any molds here, but after Rise and Shine, I am really glad to have rapid fire weapons.
Yeah, honestly, if Rise and Shine had a rapid fire weapon and this kind of mobility, it would have been a far greater game.
Yeah, it's like I get that there were specific reasons why Rise and Shine was built that way. I mean, one of the characters is literally the weapon, which is a pistol. But I'm like, in practical terms, shooting out one shot, and doing the rapid fire thing with your finger. That's one of the reasons why that game was so murderous on my hands. It's like you can experience hand cramping with Hive Jump, make no mistake. Especially with weapons like the spread gun. Won't lie, I really hated the spread gun in this game.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Still, none of the weapons in this game will give you those kind of problems. Because either they've got the rapid fire, or they're powerful enough where you don't have to hold down the trigger, and you have to just shoot them out. And even if you try to do that, well, you can only fire your weapon for so long before it overheats and it hits a cooldown.
Which is, I think, actually kind of good, because I sometimes get annoyed with games that basically there's no reason to ever not be pulling the trigger.
Right. And of course, that meter depends on your weapon. Like, the more powerful your weapon, the less you'll be able to use it. things like the rocket launcher and the flamethrower are really, really powerful, but you're not going to be running it for long because otherwise it would just break the game. Now, you also get grenades, a whole bunch of grenades. Like
Spoilers, don't use grenades in multiplayer.
Yeah, or grenades.
I wouldn't say a whole lot of grenades. You get some grenades.
I mean, in terms of types, you get a whole lot.
Oh yeah, there are tons of types of grenades.
Yeah, that's as far like you get about 4 or 5 grenades depending on which type you're using. Usually, it depends on your weapon. Sometimes your gun can destroy breakable walls. Sometimes they can't. I'm like, here's the thing. You're even in single player, you're probably going to want to bring a gun that can break walls if you can, because it's much better than using grenades. You only have
the default gun. The default gun at level 2 and above can break walls, and that's way more useful than. I mean, when I was playing single player, I assumed I would be getting grenades faster. I ran out of grenades, and I had to resort to literally getting my character killed so that I could use the telefrag when I respawn to break walls.
Mm-hmm.
And also, of note, you can only carry 5 grenades on you at a time.
Yeah, that's why it's better to bring a powered up pulse gun than relying on grenades, because the levels themselves are procedurally generated. So
yeah, there is a passive upgrade that you can use to carry 15 grenades instead of 5, but still.
There's no real reason to do that if you bring along the right weapon. Even less reason to do it if you do multiplayer, because you'll designate one person as the wall destroyer. They'll bring the rocket launcher and they'll break the wall so everyone can get through.
Destroyer of walls.
That was my job because I brought the rocket launcher. Until somebody tossed a grenade and blew me up.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, so the final category of item is the utility item. This can be a lot of multi-purpose things. You start off with the thing called the telefrag, which is when you teleport in, it'll destroy all like minor enemies and within a certain amount of radius. And you can get other things like health restoration, finding the challenge areas. There's one of that. There's more, and some of them use what's if you saw the bar with the wrench, that's your utility bar. Like the regenerator is on the same kind of timer the guns are, so you don't abuse the shit out of them. Now, not all of them do, because how do you put a timer on being able to carry 15 grenades?
Right. Yeah, a lot of them are passive. The telefrag is passive. The deep pockets is passive. The active ones are mapped to the left bumper.
Right. And anyway, getting back to, since games are procedurally generated, you can't map them out if you exit and enter. I think there is a way to not so much not map them out, but so another thing we haven't talked about here is the different modes. There's arcade mode where you just jump in and play the game, and then there's campaign mode, which is not just a story mode, but there's a bit of metagame going on here. Like the bare minimum, but it's still there.
It's kind of a la Simant, where you have your individual stages. Sorry, that's probably a terrible comparison for most people, where the individual stages are still the same, but then in between stages there's world map management of the enemies are invading your bases and you're reinforcing your bases and scouting enemy hives.
Right.
And then each turn you can choose to dive into one of the hives or jump one of the hives is what the word is, because obviously hive jump.
And later on, you'll be able to find out their capabilities or even destroy a hive without jumping in.
Yeah, I noticed the bombard option.
Yeah, but all of these options requires goo. So goo is your catch-all currency. You get that from either killing enemies or unlocking chests.
Mm-hmm. It's alien biomatter.
Right. For your purposes, it's your money.
Mm-hmm.
It's your money to not only do the metagame stuff, it's your money to unlock stuff and upgrade stuff. Because so how the hives are structured is there are at least 3 levels. Let's say I'm willing to bet that they get deeper as you go along in the game. And
in campaign mode, it's set. One of the things you get from scanning it is depth, and 3 is the minimum, and
right.
I'm sure it goes much higher than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, like your nominal goal in each regular section is to find the next cave opening. There's 2 of them. Once again, we showed this in the playthrough. You've got the metallic caves, which are basically challenge areas. It's a one life area where if you survive, you manage to get an upgrade. I'm not sure if they're permanent, but
they are permanent that playthrough.
Yeah, there we go. But it's stuff like you'll be able to resist frost or poison or things of that nature. And they can come in handy depending on the area you're in. Like I think in our playthrough somebody got resistance to electricity.
Yeah.
And there wasn't
a nice area.
Yeah, we were. That's kind of the downside of randomization here.
In the campaign mode, that never happened to me. I always got relevant things, but I don't know if that was luck or what.
I couldn't. That's probably based off of the generation. That's my guess. I couldn't say for certain. Anyway, so your actual goal is to get to the cave portion, and in each cave portion, and also before you jump in, you can unlock. You can unlock weapons. You can upgrade weapons. You can't upgrade your grenades or your utility items, but like your rocket launcher, your flamethrower, all that stuff, they get upgraded 2 levels. And it's well worth doing because you will see an appreciable difference between a level 1 pulse rifle and a level 3 pulse rifle. Let's see. The music is similarly retro styled. It's all chip tunes. It's all MIDI. It's like if you like, say, 16-bit SNES music, I'd say what they're going for here. This will be right up your alley. Indeed, it's like even if you're not into the whole retro aesthetic, this game is still worth playing because really all the retro stuff is in its look and its sound. It's not really in its play mechanics. In those terms, it feels very modern. Like, let's see. The bosses likewise are also randomized. I know this because I fought one of the bosses twice. I think that it's like There's not really much more to say about that, except make sure you have the right weapon, because when it comes to the bosses, you're not just fighting them; they will spawn creatures at certain points.
Which can be good because sometimes that means
Uh-huh.
that the creatures will drop power-ups or refills at least, but yeah, also the bosses can be kind of a pain because, well, I think the one we fought the most was the caretaker.
Was that the
Who-
Hornet Beast?
No, it's a spider one that like climbs
I
up
don't
and down
think I
and only makes platforms where its legs are.
I didn't fight that one.
Oh, Petty Fan said he did.
Yeah.
No, I fought I fought the Hornet Beast and this other monstrosity. I can't. That's kind of hard to describe if you don't see it. But yeah. Point is, certain weapon like the flamethrower is powerful, but you'll run out of ammunition, and also worth noting, death is kind of cheap in the sense that if your character gets killed, you have about 4 or 5 seconds of respawn wait, and then you're back. I'm like,
the individual Hive jumper characters are considered expendable even in universe. However, the thing you respawn on is the transponder backpack, which is by far more important.
Well, yeah, the backpack is your actual life. It's that, like, if that gets destroyed, then you're dead after the next character death. It's the backpack that spawns in all the new soldiers.
Mm-hmm. And when your character dies and you're waiting to respawn, you can move the backpack around a bit.
Yeah. Now there is a bit of a monetary penalty for each death you incur in a level, but that's bonus screen stuff. It's not too much of a concern, basically. It's like you don't have to worry about being careful with your character, basically.
Yeah.
What you have to protect is your backpack. And, in fact, that's where we ran into the biggest problem, because the backpack was stuck in a wall in our play session, and we couldn't move on to the next segment without it. So we were literally stuck.
Because you can't go through doors without the person with the backpack there.
Yeah. So we were literally stuck, and with no way of continuing. And it was just like, we were kind of done with the playthrough. All right. So, is there anything we haven't covered yet in terms of game?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Pricing. Hang on. I'm gonna have to pull up on the Steam store. I think this is about $15-$20.
Something like that.
But okay. All right. Hang on, gentle people. I thought I had this up, but apparently I didn't.
$19.99.
Okay. $20. I'm like,
at least to me,
it depends on how many. Yeah, $20 it depends on how many people you can get to play this game. I'd say, especially locally.
Yeah, like if you can get some local people, then $20 is worth it. But like if you have to play online, wait till they fix that.
I'm actually inclined to think that this would be possibly better on consoles that are better for couch co-op.
Yeah, I'm like, that's why I say if you're holding out for the Wii U version, it might be worth it, because the online multiplayer isn't the best right now. And yeah, and I believe that I'm trying to think I think that the Wii U version is going to have some unique features. Like, at the very least, it'll have off TV play, and up to, I can't remember. Was it up to 5 people?
I think 4.
Yeah. It's been about 9 months since we did the interview, so details about this game are a bit sketchy. Yeah. But yeah, I'm like $20 is pretty reasonable, especially if you have 3 other people, have them chip in, But overall, it's like as far as the game goes, that's also a good price. If there seems to be a goodly amount of content here. It's just, this isn't probably like. I don't see this as a game for long play sessions. It's like maybe you'll.
Well, that's to clear a hive takes a certain amount of time.
Right.
Like, it's also not a game for like 5-minute play sessions because you're not going to finish anything in that.
I'd say this is the kind of game you'd play for about 30 minutes to an hour. 2 hours at most. But it's also not the kind of game. It's not a game that you're going to be playing all night. Especially since there's no competitive options. Now it's all co-op. So, I mean, there is a bit of competition in the fact that money is acquired individually, but I'm like, it's not that big of a motivator because, the goo is everywhere.
Right.
Enemies drop the goo. Goo is in the little pods in the ceiling. If you want goo, you can get goo.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to be hampered.
And this series does have Mega Man spikes that are instant kill and sometimes have a questionable hitbox.
Oh, right.
I got stabbed in the baby toe and it killed me.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, right. Also, this game, even the single player kind of lacks some polish right now. I had numerous problems like going through a floor and getting sort of stuck. Did anyone else experience this?
I experienced it once, but after the game synced in multiplayer, it fixed itself.
Yeah, I experienced this in single player as well.
Yeah, I mostly had that kind of... The weirdest thing I had happen to me in single player was I was on a slippery ice surface, and I paused, and my character kept sliding even past where the ice was.
Yeah. So, it's nothing game-breaking, because, like, even if you get stuck in the floor, you can eventually get out.
Like, it'll actually throw you out of bounds and put you back at the start of the level.
Yeah, that happened to me in a challenge area, as I recall. Like, I'd fallen to the floor and it's like, threw me out of bounds. Other times I managed to get out by, it also seemed to reverse the controls for some reason. Like, didn't figure that out. So, anyway, that is a thing that exists currently. I imagine that'll eventually get patched out, hopefully.
Right.
Anyway, did you also? It is worth mentioning that the publisher of the game, Graphite Lab, did provide us with copies, 4 in all. They initially only provided us with 1, but I pointed out this is a multiplayer game.
Yeah, it's just an important consideration for a multiplayer game.
Yes. Yes, it is. Anyway, so final thoughts on Hive Jump?
It's not too terribly bad.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually, but needs to fix the multiplayer, especially since it's more fun multiplayer.
Yeah, I like the retro style of it and the gameplay overall, and if it could get all the issues fixed, it'd be really fun.
That sounds about right. Like, that's about where I am. Like, it's a solid game that may get a bit more repetitive and stale in single player than it would with multiplayer. But right now, it's kind of like it's got some bugs it needs to iron out, no pun intended, before it's it's a truly stellar experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think that'll about do it for game one. If you're watching on the stream, we'll be back not too long. Petty Pen just has to switch out all the window dressing to reflect our next game, Hellenica Tactics. So, good gaming and all that.